All right, guys, welcome back. So on today's episode, we have Kelly Tapp, right?
Hi. Yes, Kelly Taff.
So Kelly is here to talk about home ownership, and she is a Khmer real estate, a realtor from California. Where are you based again?
I'm based in Long Beach, but I cover LA County and Orange County as well.
Awesome. So I was super excited that Kelly reached out to me because I actually was thinking about home ownership, and this has been a conversation at home between my wife and I. We've been talking about, like, do we want to own a house? Do we not? And so it's kind of like somebody sent the spirits and brought you here so that I can kind
Right.
of pick your brain. And also it's so cool to meet somebody that's in the real estate business, and as Khmer female too. Props to you.
Thank
And
you.
well, let me start off with, like, maybe you could talk a little bit about who you are, how long you've been in real estate,
Right.
and where you grew up, and then we'll kind of jump into home ownership.
Yeah,
You're good.
I'm Kelly Taff with Tapp into Real Estate, and I'm affiliated with Keller Williams Pacific Estates here in Long Beach. I'm born and raised in Long Beach, and I've been doing real estate for about 14 years now. So I started in real estate because my parents were real estate investors, mainly in 2 to 4 units. And I actually got started with the licensing because one of my best friends at the time, she was getting licensed. I wasn't that interested in it, but I wanted to get my mom off my back because I had just finished my undergrad. And I didn't know if I wanted to stay in the field that I was in, which was working with children with autism. I love the kids, but the parents, they expected like a miracle worker to kind of fix their children. It was a lot of pressure, and it was really sad at the end of the day. But I transitioned into real estate, and I finally realized, hey, I could actually make a really good living doing just real estate and not having to have a part-time job. So I actually let go of this full-time job that had 401k benefits and everything. And ever since then, I've been doing it for 14 years. And along the way, I got to pay for grad school with the real estate money and finish my master's degree, which also helps me when I'm marketing homes as well. So that's
Very
my
cool.
real estate journey. Yeah.
That's awesome. And what's your master's degree in?
It's in strategic public relations. So it really helps with marketing listings, really knowing who your audience is when you're negotiating. And my favorite class was negotiation and deal making, which I love to do every day for my clients. And we just had a really big win the other day. I was able to get 6,300 of termite work and 7,500 credit for my client. So I was representing the buyer, so they get to use all that money to tent their house. It's a 2-story. So I know a lot of colder states. I know you're out there, and I have cousins in Salt Lake City. There's not a lot of termite. So they're kind of like, what's that? What's termite? But in California, there's a lot of moisture in the air. Anytime you're by water, there's termite damage. So that's what that credit was used for.
Good to know. Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say that, you said you're based in Long Beach. Would you say like a lot of your clients are Khmer families that are looking to buy homes, or would you say it's kind of mixed?
Honestly, I wish I had more Khmer clients, and I think I have a mixture of different types of groups. I mean, I serve, I've a lot of Indian families, Taiwanese families, Chinese families. I obviously have Caucasian, Black, different types of South Americans, and Mexican, of course, is a big group since there's a lot of great Mexican families in Southern California. And so I do have a small portion of Cambodians who come to me, but most of them, I would say, are English and Khmer speaking. So I do speak Khmer myself. I wouldn't say that I'm 100% fluent, but I could get the deal done in Khmer if I needed to. But I don't have a lot of the older folks coming to me. And when they do come to me, it's more like, hey, I have this much cash. If you see something, if you see a good deal, let me know. And I know we were talking earlier, and that doesn't really work. Because if you are in the market looking, you want to sit down with a real estate agent, really go through the steps, because I do offer a free consultation, and I'll explain what the market is doing right now, how you could have the most strategic offer put in for you, because a lot of people are getting outbid. And really follow the steps and see it through, because if you see me in passing and say, hey, give me a good deal, when you see one, there's like 10 people that probably already told me that too, and I don't know which ones are serious unless They're like,
Right.
let's do this, right? So that's
Yeah.
one tip I have to say is, even if you don't know if you're qualified or if your credit's not that great, just sit down with me. It's free. You don't have to use me if you don't like me, but at least you'll get some information from me,
Yeah.
right? And start a plan. Like, here's where I am and here's where I want to be. I got to get my credit up to this score. Or like you, if you and your wife are business owners, right? You also have your full-time job, but you have other income that is stated income.
Right.
You could also plan ahead of time, like, how do I pay myself so that I qualify, right? Because I know you have a lot of expenses with your business, right? Like that microphone, that fancy iMac, those are all write-offs,
Right.
but you have to make a certain amount to qualify for the amount that you want to spend. So I think that is all part of the planning portion of it, and I really encourage people to sit down with the licensed realtor, hopefully someone that's full-time, that will help you plan it all out. Yeah.
That's helpful information. So I think if somebody, for example, like I mentioned to you, I always see on people like on Facebook or social media, and they're like pictures of their first home. And I'm like, am I
Yeah.
doing something wrong? Because I'm like, I know they're making like less money than me, or maybe they've saved money from, you
Right.
know, their previous jobs, or they got a side hustle. But we also talked about like my wife and I talk about this, like we didn't start ahead. I think a lot of times like people that we know have started ahead as far as like they're debt free, they don't have student loans, they don't have like, whatever debt that
Right.
they owe to like credit cards or like medical bills.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, man, if we didn't have like these things, like, because we pay a lot in student loans, so if they wipe student loans today, I would be so super happy.
Yeah, that would
you
be
know
awesome. There's so many people with student loans. Yeah.
Right. So, for somebody, because we talked about like, well, how much do we need to save to begin that process of like, what is it going to take us to get to the down payment? And that's like a serious conversation that we've had. So I guess like my question for you is advice to, people that are, young and thinking about owning a home. Like, what are the maybe top three like things that they would have to do? I mean, like the down payment, and I think bad credit is not like bad credit, but like not great credit is something that we worry about too, because the student loans, and it's like, not our fault that our numbers have gone a little bit down.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But we worry about that. And then like a lot of my good friends have gotten home. So I'm like, am I doing something wrong? So
Yeah.
what would you say your advice is on maybe the first steps to getting a home?
Yeah, definitely meeting with a real estate agent would be number one. Talking to a loan officer to help them, help you map out all of those things. I would say that for the down payment portion of it, right? 20% is the down payment you want to strive for. That's where you don't have to do an FHA loan, which takes longer, has more, restrictions. And then you can, the best part about 20% is you don't have to pay mortgage insurance. So it's also referred to as PMI. If you could avoid paying PMI, you could save so much money. But I understand that 20% is a lot. Not everybody could do 20%, especially in hot markets like your market in New York or mine in Los Angeles, right? 20% is a lot. So first time home buyers do have the opportunity to come in with 3.5% down. And then people don't know this as well, but there's actual erase that part. People don't know this as well, but the conventional loans, there's 20%, 10%, 5%, and 3%. So you could even come in at 0.5% less if you were to do a 3% conventional loan. So I would say tips for you in particular, since you're talking about your situation with student loans. I found this great bank, and you can email me. Everyone that's listening can email me to find out more information, because I have a great guy at First Republic Bank. His name is Blake Hazley, and I could send you his email and get you introduced with him, because he hooked me up with a really low interest rate. I refied my loan, and as you all know, for grad school loans, they're even higher than undergrad. They do not give you a break. You know that as well. So, because they're under the assumption that you go to grad school after you find a full-time job and you're good and you can pay for it. But that is the wrong assumption for this time, because in my grad program, I don't know about yours, but there was a lot of people that just rolled out of undergrad and went straight into it. So that's not true for everybody, that they already have all this experience, all of these, you know, great things on their resume that will give them the income to pay for it. So unfortunately, the government has to fix that part, along with a whole lot of other things as well. But because of that high interest rate, it was even higher than the undergrad by, I think, like 2 or 3 points. But for Blake, he actually hooked me up with a rate of 1.95, which is unheard of, right? Like less than 2% for your student loans. That's awesome. And you could save, it sounds like an infomercial for him now, but it helped me so much. I want to tell you all about it. But if you pay for it in 4 years, they give you that interest back. If you pay for it in 4 years, they give you that interest back. So that's what's great about that loan. So that's one way. And I do want to let you know that student loans are not actually bad for home buying. I actually purchased my home when I had a student loan under my debt. So it's actually considered good debt because you're investing in yourself. So I don't want you to think that student loans will deter you from purchasing a home. So that's also good to know as well. And as far as the credit stuff, you know, everybody's credit could be a little bit better. There's no harm, no foul in like, oh, you had some credit cards, right, that you haven't paid down. The only thing about that is just finding a way to consolidate that and talking to a proper professional in the loan industry, because they might tell you, don't pay that off, or pay this one off first, or don't settle on that. You want to get this letter. So if you're out there just doing it on your own and you don't know what's best or what to do first, you might make it even longer to, you know, actually reaching that goal of purchasing a home. You might as well, you know, use all these resources, because they're here to like help you get that all set up so that you are qualified to purchase a home. And you don't owe them anything up front. They're helping you in hopes that you'll use them as a loan officer. So remember that too. It doesn't cost you anything to meet with a real estate agent. It doesn't cost you anything to meet with a loan officer. So please utilize your resources. And so you know, Keller Williams is global. So anywhere you want to buy internationally, even, we have someone there, and I could look up their stats. Like if you and your wife were to look in New York, you know, you could tell me which town you're looking in, and I can look up who's full time, if they have any derogatory notes on their license, if they have, you know, if they're a high producing agent. You want to know all those things, because, you know, obviously I wouldn't refer someone that would do a bad job for you, because that would look bad on me too. But so you can, wherever you are. So I have, you know, good realtors I've helped people move to Oregon. I helped people move to Vegas. I also have property in Salt Lake City and West Valley. I also have property in Salt Lake City and West Valley, Utah as well. So I know title officers there. I know loan officers there. So wherever it is that you're moving to, it doesn't have to be the West Coast. It doesn't even have to be the US, but I could be a resource for you. So just keep that in mind. Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind, because, you know, we talk about like upstate New York, because like I feel like we have to win the lottery to live in, like,
that
to own a home
so
in New York City. We're just like, how do these people like on our, you know, streets, like anybody that owns a home in New York City, it's either like old like homes that's been passed down, and it's just like stayed within the family too. So I mean, unless we hit the lottery,
those are the best those are the best neighborhoods, the one where, you know, there's still older people there, and it's just handed down generation to generation. Those are the most stable, you know, neighborhoods. Usually they're the best to move into, because there's not like all these young people that are partying on that street, you know. So those are probably the best neighborhoods.
Just all the hipsters in Williamsburg, you know. And it's New York City is like a very interesting place, because I feel like my street is, you've got the folks that have been there for 30 plus years, and then, you know, the newer folks that, you know, either was like a trust fund baby and they just like rent the bottom floor to whoever. But just kind of just switch gears a little bit. So, you know, you talked about doing the master's program, and I think that's awesome. You know, I also did a master's program in nonprofit management, and that I just cried for 2 years. Thank you. I mean, this was a while ago, and I want to say that I treated myself to seafood trays in order to. Once I did a paper, I treated myself to a
I
seafood
love
tray.
seafood too, so I don't
Yeah,
blame you. You deserve it.
yeah, no, you as well. So we have a lot of
Thank
folks that
you.
are younger and some probably similar age and older. But for the younger folks that are watching, what is a piece of advice as far as continuing on your education? Because I think at some point in my life, I was like, I don't need master's education or master's degree. Like I'm just gonna do like this, and then like that's it. But then eventually, when my passion kind of shifted, working with, in leadership and nonprofits, I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to change my focus. And, I can do a little bit with my undergrad in theater, but, doing the work that I do as my career as a program director, I have to, if I'm going to leave my current job, they're going to look at my resume. So I guess what is an advice you have, for the younger generation, anybody that's planning on continuing school too, because I feel like you're very successful, and you went
Thank you.
to
You too.
like doing your master's program and being in real estate for 14 years. I think like that's for folks that are watching, inspiring to be like, oh well, like how do I get to where she is, so maybe
Thank
some
you. I
advice.
wonder how I could get to where you are too,
I don't
with
know
your
where I am.
10,000 followers. Well, I would say that's an interesting question, because I know that really we didn't plan on talking about that, but I really am glad you asked that, because it's an interesting question, because I actually was going to get my master's in higher ed counseling. So ironically, this question comes up, and I actually really love to answer it, because I love working with younger people, especially because not everybody knows this, but I was born in Eastside Long Beach, which is a rougher part of Long Beach, So I think making sure that I set myself up to have certain opportunities, all of that had to be pre-planned and done on my own. It wasn't like my dad was a lawyer and I could get a letter of recommendation whenever I wanted, right? And I
Right.
love my parents. They made all the right moves. My dad worked for Honeywell for like 25 years. If he didn't invest in real estate, I don't know like where our family would be. So I definitely think they did the best they could, and I appreciate it. But I'm just saying, in comparison to what you were saying earlier about people having that head start, that I think that's why I'm working so hard every day, is to kind of build that generational wealth, so that when I do have children, they'll have, more resources. Maybe they'll have like an uncle or an aunt with, all of these degrees that can write them letters of recommendations, and they didn't have to do all the things I had to do to get just like one vote of confidence from like a professor, doing all this research for them and all this stuff. So, I don't want to like give it to them on a platter, but I just want to make it a little bit easier than how I had it. That's all. And so I would say my advice is to first check the Bureau of Labor Statistics, so BLS.gov. I want you guys to kind of work backwards, because it is not all rainbows in the job market, right? It's hard to get a job after you graduate. So I think you should work backwards. Figure out what you want to do. What does the job trajectory look like for that job?
Right.
Is it moving up or a downward trend? So you want to pay attention to all of those things, because why would you want to go study for 4 years and then another 2 or 3 years, and then if you decide to do your doctorate, it's however long it takes to do your dissertation, and then find out, wait, this job doesn't pay what I thought it was going to pay, but I'm already 80 grand in the hole for my school bill. So I would encourage you to work backwards. Go to BLS.gov, look up that job, see what they do on the day-to-day. What does their paycheck look like? Does that fit your lifestyle? I would take the advice of our former president, Barack Obama said, not everybody's Lil Wayne. You can't just blow up with just not going to college and, college dropout, like Kanye West says, you can't, not everybody could do that. So I would say if you are talented, it will happen. But why does it hurt for you to have a backup plan, right? Go, if you want to do music, if you want to do fashion, if you want to be a model, that's great. I'm not stopping you. I want you to continue that. But at the same time, what's your backup plan? And most of the time, like Lena and myself, our backup plan was our degrees, right? Like every job that we've ever applied for have asked us, what have you done? What school did you go to? What is your experience? What internships you had? So just make sure you stay active. Don't be lazy. Do internships. Never have a summer where you're just like, I'm just not going to do anything this summer, right? Like try to do an internship, try to do volunteer work for a nonprofit. You know, Lena and I both have a soft spot for nonprofits because I also have lupus, so I do a lot of nonprofit work for Lupus Foundation as well. So that always looks good on your resume. So that's my advice for all of the youngsters watching.
That's a lot of good advice, and I absolutely agree with you. There was another piece that you said too, was a lot of times people go right from undergrad into masters, and I don't know what your thoughts are on it too, because I always have this conversation at work, because people are like, yeah, I'm gonna do my undergrad and then I'm gonna go right into masters, and then they think, and I did a video about like negotiating salary and, you know, interviewing for jobs. It's like, you know, you go from one thing to another and you go to school and you have no work experience, and then you expect that people are gonna hire you. I'm like, it does not work like that. Like I look at least for me, I'm a recruiter, right? So I look at people's resumes, and if they have like no experience, I'm like, you know, there goes that. They may have the master's degree, you know, they went to school or whatever, but they have no life experience. So you mentioned, you know, do volunteer work, do like I always say take every opportunity like as a learning opportunity, you know, just whatever is thrown in front of you, like take it, because you don't know when you're going to get that next opportunity, right? So I think, you know, kind of what you said too was to really put yourself out there, no matter what job that you want to do. You want to go be a model, you want to go be a rapper. It's like, but at the end of the day, what's going to pay your bills? That's what's
because
that?
yeah, exactly, because all that is not instant, right? You got to fund that life, right? Like you have to have a stable, like you have to have a stable stream of income to support those dreams, right? So I don't want to call those things a hobby, but if they start off as a hobby, you still need money to fund that hobby or that dream until it actually becomes, you know, how you envisioned it. And the best way to do that, like Lena said, is to take all those opportunities, because my favorite parts in undergrad and graduate school were the internships that I got to do. I did one on the Hill in DC, amazing opportunity. I did one in London where I worked for Michelin star restaurants and chefs, amazing opportunities. And these are the things that are just going to stick out to whoever is hiring you when you're going in with your resume. And another thing I want to add is, I know people, you know, Cambodians have so much pressure from their aunts and uncles and their family and all this. You know how it is, Lena.
Yep.
And don't listen to what they're going to say. If you have a goal and you're going for it, do what you have to do, because I also got that as well, right? My first few years of real estate was, is that your hobby? What else do you do besides real estate? Like to them, it's mind boggling. Like, oh, could you even make 6 figures with real estate? Oh, like, you know, they don't know anything about that. And you just need to just not listen to it, and you need to just not listen to them and go for your dreams, because at the end of the day, they're not paying for your bills. So you just do what you have to do. And you know what? They're right. I don't need a master's degree to do real estate. And any of you that are interested in real estate, you could also email me about that. But I will say it does make a big difference when you work with a real estate agent who has gone through the schooling. They're just more organized the way they are professionally when they have that work experience behind them. They can package your offer better. They gain more respect from other agents who are going to accept or reject your offer. That does make a difference who's presenting it to them. So I will say, no matter what you're doing, don't let anybody tell you that, you know, oh, you did all that for nothing, because you know what? It's not true, because even with what Lena is doing right now with her podcast, right? She has used so much of her education to make this a success, whether people know it or not. She used the different parts of her business ethics and her professionalism to make this you know, what it is now and how successful
Mhm.
she's been. So I think that you should always strive forward and keep going. Don't let anybody stop you or talk about you. I do think, though, Lena, I did not answer your question about what do you think about other people coming to a master's program without any experience. I think that people should get experience first. I
Mhm.
understand that when you first get out of undergrad, you can't get a job. You might think, oh, okay, a master's degree is the way to go. I'll need to get my parents off my back. Let's just go do this. Let's finish it.
Right.
But I don't think that it brings a lot to the table when you are doing all these group projects with other people in the master's program. It kind of doesn't bring multi dimensions of, okay, I was in this
Mhm.
field, you were in this field. What do you think about this topic? Because even some of the business classes I had to take, we had to go over Harvard Business School scenarios, and I'm sure
Yep.
Lena did too. And a
All
lot
the
of the
time.
background, yeah, it's kind of like funny because all these schools use Harvard stuff. It's kind of like you feel like you went to Harvard anyways because
I
you're
know.
just doing their case studies. But yeah, you need to have your own perspective because that's what makes it interesting in a grad school environment. So I don't know if it's smart to jump into it right away. I do
Yeah.
think that a lot of people, younger people now, are just under more pressure to feel like they have to do something right away. And I do feel for you guys. I know that when Lena and I were in undergrad, we could add, you know, 5, 10 classes and then decide which one fits our schedule better. I know for you guys
Right.
now, if there's not a full class, they got to cancel the whole class. So that only elongates your whole college career. So I feel bad that, you know, a lot of people can't finish in 4 years. And so when they're in college for 5, 6
Mhm.
years, they feel the urge to go ahead and go into that master's program or find a really good job, and they can't find that job. So they decide, okay, I'm going to do my master's program. So it's a double-edged sword for me. What do you think about it, Lena?
Ooh, like there's no right or wrong, right? Because I think I relate it into real life situations where people, I had this, what I call him, a coworker, let's just say an acquaintance. He went from undergrad to master's to PhD, right?
Mm-hmm.
Finished, then expected that he was going to get a director's role, like
Wow.
wherever he's from. So I'm looking at him like, no, like that's not going to
Yeah.
happen because again, you have no work experience. So why would I want to hire you for this job? And that mentality, this was also living in Florida. So Florida people are a little bit different. No offense to all my Florida people. Love y'all. Just some of y'all
I will
mentality.
I will say though, Lena, I feel like everyone in New York thinks the whole world is slower than them though. Cause when
I
I was in
know.
New York, everybody's like, you Californians, why you dress like a bum in sandals? And I was like, dang, sorry I don't look like I'm from the runway. But yeah, we're way too slow for you New York's folks. So
I know. Yes, you're right. I think we just think everything revolves around us, especially in Brooklyn. Like
but
we're the only
you
things
make
that
stuff
exist.
happen though. You make stuff happen. So back to your Florida acquaintance.
Yeah. So, and this was two situations too. It was like this person and this person that have masters. I'm applying for this like higher level job because I have a master's or a doctorate's degree, and I'm like, there's no way you're gonna get that job because you haven't worked at all since you're like being from undergrad. So
Right.
I'm gonna like, I mean, not to say that education doesn't matter, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is like if somebody has more experience in that field, let's say 10 years of nonprofit like work, and then they just were beginning to finish school or getting back and maybe they stopped, something happened, and
Mm.
they're gonna finish their undergrad. I'm gonna choose this person because they took the time to work while they were trying to figure out school, while to finish their undergrad. Whereas somebody who just went completely there and then now it's almost like a catch-22 because now you have this high degree of like a doctorate, but then when
Mm-hmm.
you go apply for like a whatever role, it's like you're either too good or not good enough. So it's, I don't
Right.
know. So
I see what you're saying, but it's kind of like, I think maybe like what we both are trying to say is that the college degrees are great. You just have to
mhm,
supplement it with that with the experience as well, because it just makes you more a well-rounded person. And I
Hmm.
think I agree with you, because there's no way I would hire the doctorate degree either, because there's simple things that he doesn't have a track record for. For instance, how do I even know you're going to do something so simple as showing up to work on time? How do I
Exactly.
Right. So you have all these things that you need to track. So the other lady has a proven track record that she's been able to do it for so long. She
Hmm.
has experience, she has perseverance, she went to school and all that. So I totally agree with you. But I think what we want to tell the young people that are listening is that getting all those degrees is great, but
Right.
it doesn't mean that that's the key to getting the job you want. You still have to do the work. So it's
Exactly.
an all-encompassing thing that you want to make sure you have a good balance of, and it makes me think too, maybe the US education system has it all backwards, because when
Hmm.
I was in Germany, I'm really good friends with one of my girlfriends out there. She did her internship here, but how they do it is they make you do your internship first before you could even study for the degree. So you have to make sure that you even like the job first before you go to college for it. I think that
Hmm.
makes so much more sense before you invest your time and money into a degree. And I kind of wish there were programs in the US that force people to kind of get into that field and figure out if they like it
Hmm.
first before they spend $100,000 on education and decide, I don't really want to be a lawyer. I'm just going to go do this. And that's okay too. A lot of
Right.
people don't have a job in their respective degrees.
Hmm.
It just matters how happy you are in those jobs and if you're growing every step of the way. I just wanted to tie everything together for everybody that's listening. I do want to say I have a lot of empowering women who are my clients, and one in particular who is Khmer. I bring her up a lot in the conversation. She did a really great job of saving money. She went to Cal State Long Beach, got her degree. She works for the government, has a really great job, and in doing so, she took all those experiences and kept moving up in the system, and now she has a very great job still with the government, very stable, great benefits, and she was able to purchase her first condo here in Long Beach on Ocean Boulevard. And I want to say I really give props to powerful women like her, who's especially, she's Khmer as well, and she's able to do that on her own with a single income. That's very difficult.
Hmm.
And the fairy tale behind all of that is she was able to sell her first condo, make a profit. So by the time she did the math, she basically lived in this high rise on Ocean practically for free, made a profit, and now she lives in a beautiful new development home in a better part of Long Beach with her husband and her son. So I just think that is just such a great fairy tale ending and so inspiring to women everywhere. You don't need, other people's income to provide you the ability to purchase a home. Your destiny is in your own hands. If you want to purchase real estate on your own with one income, then you can do
Hmm.
that. So I just want to leave with that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly, for being a guest on this channel, and I appreciate having you. You gave at least me a lot of insight, and I definitely want to have you back. I feel like we have a lot more to talk about, and maybe
Yeah.
future videos, and hopefully we can talk about food on another time too. But there's a lot of advice that you gave that I think is knowledgeable to me, not only me, but the folks that are watching this channel, and very inspiring for you, to watch you talk about your experience, but also helping somebody else to get to where they need to go. And I think that's what this channel is all about, is seeing each other grow and uplifting each other. So I appreciate having
Absolutely.
you, and I hope to have you back. Any other final words that you want to give
Yeah, I just
to
want
the
to say really
followers?
quick that you're very inspiring too, Lena. And I just want to thank you for all you do for the community, because we can definitely use all of the uplifting energy that you give to us in all of your videos. And I really do appreciate everything that you do for the community. And I learn a lot from you too. So thank you, Lena.
All right, guys, you know the drill. Don't forget to follow Kelly right here, all her handles. And until next time, bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.